Well, here we are at the Fairplex Garden Railroad in Pomona, California. This is an unbelievable sight to see in person. You're talking about a miniature railway that is the size of an NFL football field, 30,000 square feet, at least 10,000 feet of railway. Up to about 10 different tracks have been laid here, and you can run multiple trains per loop at the same time. Now, what you're looking at here in this corner of the railroad is a replica of the Golden Gate Bridge, which is kind of neat because the real Golden Gate Bridge doesn't have a railway running on it, but for the sake of this railroad, they put a track on it, and it's quite a hit. The entire railroad, the Garden Railroad that you see here, is actually themed after the state of California, and it's themed over different times in the history of the state of California. The old mining days, logging days, then the Western cowboy days, and then Hollywood, um, and modern day California. So here we see different structures that are maintained. Uh, to understand this, there are 80 volunteers that look after this garden railway on a volunteer basis all year round. Yet the rails are only running, the tracks are only being used by trains about 3 weeks of the year during the LA County Fair at the Pomona Fairplex. However, during the year, you can come on your own anytime you want for free and come check this place out. It's outdoors. The volunteers are there virtually 7 days a week, and they're more than happy to talk to you. The day I was there, I saw this lizard on top of this house. We thought Godzilla had arrived. And so I got a close-up shot of the lizard on top of this little house. Pretty cool. But you can see behind there the farm implements, miniature homes and barns. There's a drive-in theater just off to the one side there. Gas stations. You name it. This is so complex. The more you look, the more you find, the more you see. Another thing that to keep in mind is that it looks like there's a lot of trees here that are to scale, but these aren't actually trees. They're actually bushes that have been hand clipped with scissors to make them look like trees. This garden railroad requires constant attention, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If you don't attend to it like the volunteers do, everything becomes overgrown, and weeds will come in there, the grass will get too long, the bushes will get out of control, and it'll all be for naught. So to maintain the look of this railroad, you have to maintain it meticulously all the time, and you can just see how some of these little bushes have been made to look just like trees with trunks and branches all clipped to look like that. Here we have uh, on the rails, you can see various layers of railway. There are tunnels here. There are some lakes and rivers running through this garden railroad. Uh, Very complex. Um, a number of businesses have made contributions over the years to keep the railway going because it does require money on top of volunteer workers. And some of the buildings have business names on them as sort of a tribute to their help. I think the budget for this Garden Railroad is something like $100,000+ a year. It's quite expensive, and I might even be low on that. Being outdoor, it's subject to the elements. Thankfully, in Pomona, California, in the outskirts of Los Angeles, you don't get too much rain, although it can handle rain. Um, the winters are obviously mild. Here is the loading area where you load your trains on the track. This is right at the wheelhouse, and so you bring the locomotives out and the cars behind them, and you load them on one track, second track, third track, fourth track, and then the engineer inside the wheelhouse starts operating the trains one by one, and they head out on their various loops, and around they go. I think the one engineer told me that upwards of 20 trains at a time can operate at the same time. The longest train they've ever operated is something like 108 cars long. The rail that you're looking at, the track you're looking at, is called a G gauge. For railroad buffs, they'll know what that means. A little larger than what we'd have had as children inside our houses when we were kids. Here's a nice little equestrian-looking area there that's been put together and constantly maintained. Um, a little western town over here is being shown off, and if you as we zoom in here, we'll see some donkeys and cows and horses and an old western town here, the old railway station in the old western town. But there's a special location here that had been pointed out to me, and I started zooming in on it. Let's see if you can read it for yourself here. Here we go. Here we go. The This is known as the Fleiss House, Proprietus Heidi. Heidi Fleiss. If any of you folks know who Heidi Fleiss is, it's the house that provides a happy ending, I guess. But kind of a cute, kind of a cute thing. Something for everybody. It's absolutely amazing to see this close up, and or from afar. It's just overwhelming when you look over the entire site. 30,000 square feet, 100 yards long by almost 30 yards wide. It's just amazing. The groundwork that's been done, the way the rails have been laid, the water systems they have in there, the electrical. I've read somewhere they have over 10,000 feet of wiring laid underneath this site. Just imagine the logistics. Here's an Indian village that's been put together. Each of these little figurines are hand painted, are lovingly maintained, restored. The foliage you see here has to be trimmed. They'll use a vacuum cleaner to suck away any imperfections or leaves that fall off. I mean, this is so well maintained, meticulously maintained by these volunteers. They are really silent stars of this unit. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you like my channel, subscribe and keep watching. I'm going to keep posting videos of my travels. And click the like button if you like this. This has been a fantastic little visit.